It may not be West Tennessee's best-known community service organization, but it is one of West Tennessee's most profound. Now a fixture in Jackson, Bolivar, and Brownsville, the Madison Haywood Developmental Services serves 270-plus clients. With its extensive staff, Madison Haywood Developmental Service provides assistance with housing, transportation, medical care, and work for individuals with disabilities. In its 40-year existence, it has grown from humble beginnings to a life-changing presence in West Tennessee. This is the story of Madison Haywood Developmental Services and the people it serves.
Like the pine trees lining the winding road, I've got a name, I've got a name. Like the singing bird and the croaking toad, I've got a name, I've got a name. And I carry it with me like my daddy did, but I'm living the dream that he kept here. Moving me down the highway, rolling me down the highway, moving ahead so life won't pass me by. Like a north wind whistling down the sky, I've got a song, I've got a song. Like the whippoorwill and the babies cry, I've got a song, I've got a song. And I carry it with me and I sing it loud. If it gets me nowhere, I go there proud. Moving me down the highway, rolling me down the highway, moving ahead so life won't pass me by. Share it if you want me to. If you're going my way, I'll go with you. Moving me down the highway, rolling me down the highway, moving ahead so life won't pass me by. Moving me down the highway, rolling me down the highway, moving ahead so life won't pass me by.
Well, I've been here since day one, I guess, because I have a retarded son. And he is 53 years old now, but when he was very small, there was absolutely nothing for those kids.
Years ago in the 50s, 60s, you hid these people. You know, you had people that kept their, you know, a lot of times you didn't even know they had another child, a third child, or whatever. They were either in a back bedroom or they were put in an institution. And when I was in college at Lambeth, I took a course and I went up to Clover Bottom, and that was my first exposure to this field. And when I saw the conditions and the way that they treated human beings, I thought, my gosh, if they're showing you this, what aren't they showing you?
This is the way mentally retarded were hidden away. You know, it was, it's like the families had done something wrong, maybe. But we got a call, and they asked us to go over to this location, and there was a bedroom, obviously, on the back of this house that the door had been taken off. They had turned sideways and nailed the door to and inside this room was a middle-aged, I guess you'd say, or younger lady in a dust cloth gown, and that was all. There was a mattress on the floor, and that was her life, and she was there.
He was 4 years old before we realized anything was wrong. He was seemed to train fine, but didn't talk much, very little. And from there on, it just went downhill.
So it was a gradual awareness?
Yes, gradual. And then when he was ready to, I put him in kindergarten. And bless those dear hearts that kept him in kindergarten because he was busy. And then when he was ready to go to school, they told me that he was mentally retarded and could not go into the school system.
Mailman for my area was a guy named Richard Morford. And Richard would come by the house, and I was always watching for him because he had my GI check. I was going to school on the GI Bill. So Richard and I became friends, and one day he asked me if I had access to, I knew I was going to Lambeth, and he said, could you get me into the swimming pool or the tennis and basketball and et cetera for some handicapped individuals? And I said, sure. He took me over to West Jackson Baptist Church upstairs on Campbell, is where they were at the time. And there was a group of individuals with disabilities and a couple of ladies working with them. And long story, short story, we loaded them up in a station wagon. I had an old orange station wagon, Tennessee orange station wagon. And took them over to Lambeth. We were going to take them swimming. And Roscoe Williams and Jerry Couch, Pepper Bray, different ones said, we're teaching WSI, senior life-saving classes. We'll let our students work with the handicap. And in '72, we talked to the Department of Mental Health, DHS, and Richard said, we can, I was graduating in June, May, something. And he said, we'll start a center. And we'll call it the Adult Activity Center. We wrote a grant sitting down at his kitchen table. And a guy from the state, Steve Roth, came up, met with us. And we started the center. And operated out of Northside Church, Calvary Cumberland Presbyterian Church out on Campbell. Then we moved over on Hollywood, 120 Hollywood. And the house next to it was 100 Burkett. I don't even know if the houses are still standing. But that's where the actual start of
there was a very small seed planted back then, which became Happy Hollow School, and this is the result. All this great thing out here now, it just grew and grew and grew.
And so after I got back into practice at the Jackson Clinic, I began to visit the CP Center here in Jackson, and at that time I was located over in an old house on King Street. June Paragon was the director then, and then I began to notice in the city that we had other programs for the handicapped in our community, and there was one for small children, preschool children, over on Burkett Street in an old house, and Mary Lou Gatkins was the director there. And Bob Ellis had a program directing adult activities with the handicapped. They were on a terribly old house on Hollywood Drive. And then there was Henry Foote. Henry was a remarkable individual who directed Happy Hollow. And that was an unusual program for the cerebral palsy people in our community. And because of Henry's work there, they eventually became part of the school system here in Jackson, and actually was the beginning of the handicapped children's program for the state of Tennessee.
The initiative here locally, and Richard Morford played an awfully big part. Johnny Parham played an awfully big part. J.D. Humphrey played an awfully big part. But Bob Ellis was the kind of the wild card in that he didn't really have a stake in the game. You know, he was looking for a job, and the others had a vested interest in that they had a child, and they were looking for services of which to their credit was, I'm not going to accept Monty or Ralph or whoever stay in the back room or stay in an institution. I want them to be a part of this community.
Come up with some solution that we could provide better facilities and better programming for our handicapped individuals. And out of those meetings, a lot of people were involved now. Out of those meetings, it came a concept of a facility, a new facility that would provide modern places for these people to operate. And then because of that, we came up with the concept of a freestanding, independent corporation which would provide whatever these individual programs needed. Locations. And finally, Carl and Nita Jones gave us the property that we now have.
And when this started, the state gave us a grant to build this and a school for the side of it. That's the original plan. So we got the grant to build it and started the building, except that we had to have matching money. Well, that had to come from county court. Now, everybody in Madison County knows that Madison County Court Commissioners are very, very careful with the money. But I thought, now, how am I going to do that? It fell to me to go get the matching funds. So I just had a few minutes to talk to county court, and they didn't know what I was talking about, I was sure. So I spent the whole week before county court met. I went to the home of every member of the county court commission. I talked to every one of them, and they listened. And when I went up and asked for it at county court, it was granted without a question. So you have to do your homework sometimes that way.
What did you tell them?
I just told them that the need was here really bad, and that how many children were in Madison County that needed this really bad, and they needed something to do and somewhere to go in the daytime. And we had a long talk, a lot of, and they had a lot of questions. How much was it going to cost? How much matching money? Of course, that came in very prominently. But we managed it, and we got it. We got the building halfway done, and over here as well. And Board of Education decided to put the kids in the school with special ed. So that killed the school being built, and that's where Happy Hollow is now. I mean, where the cerebral palsy is. They took it over and have been there ever since.
$50,000 from the county court. Then that meant I had to go to the city commission. And so I went to the city commission, and was able to persuade them to invest in our program for another $50,000.
All of these efforts paved the way for what expanded from an adult activity center to the Madison Haywood Developmental Services program we know today. That transition came in part because of a recognition of the work capabilities of people of differing abilities. Plus, there was deinstitutionalization by mental health services, opening the way for more housing, individual housing units. And Madison Haywood Developmental Services was on the way to service levels that were totally unexpected when the center began in the 1970s.
Working with the handicap, they were so appreciative. They had nothing to do but sit on the floor, and they were making these little egg carton baskets. They'd take the egg cartons and string them together and make little garbage bags and pot holders out of these little pieces of cloth, and you'd weave it through and make pot holders. Couldn't stand those things. I said, you know, these people can really be more productive. They can work. They can have a very productive life and enjoy life like we do.
Well, when I first started, we had to paint all the time with pictures and crayons. That wasn't none of my deal, but I had to do it. I got tired doing that.
Started out in arts and crafts. Made sand candles. Worked out of an old garage back behind 120 Hollywood. We had a garden. We canned tomatoes. But the first contract, and I can't tell you the company, but Rookie Murphy worked for us, Hillard Jesse Murphy III. And Rookie went out and got a contract with casters for baby beds, the wheel assembly parts. Okay, and we would put those in a plastic sleeve, fold them over, staple them. We didn't have a heat sealer, we would just staple them. And that was the first contract that we had.
Madison Haywood is a bustling enterprise zone. There are work centers in 3 locations. There are employees doing contracted work for pay. There are off-site contracts for employment and residential housing for those who can work outside the home and for those who cannot. It has changed lives for the clients and for the staff, and it's made a difference in West Tennessee.
Fire extinguisher strap. We have to put a little clip in here to catch the strap, keep it from coming back out once it goes in. And we push it through there, and there's a couple of lines on here that we have to pull it and come to a certain point so that they can put it on the fire extinguisher. And they pull it and cut it off. So we do about 5,000 of these a day.
So most of the time we come in, try to get together a scheme, how we're going to do our work, put them together, and as you can see, they work pretty good. This is Glenn, Terry, Stanley, Donald, and Dustin. And they love doing work. They look forward to it when they come in the morning.
They may not be able to do as much as someone else's group because of different skill levels. So Teresa will be able to kind of tell you about the system.
Well, I have some that have maybe some low vision, so all they're going to do is basically take one of these straps, and take a clip, and if they just halfway push it in, then I'll take it from there and I will push it in all the way. That's all they're basically doing. So it's, in other words, more teamwork.
Usually I'll pair my group up to where, as say Donna, it's more of a higher skilled individual, and I'll let her work with Clayton, and they kind of combine their work skills together to get the product done. And it seems to work really well together, and they each get to earn a paycheck, which they enjoy.
This is the Butler project. These are Butler roof clips. They go on the steel buildings. They help hold the roof onto the steel building, and it gives the roof expansion. It lets it expand for the heat. It lets it expand for the wind without breaking the metal roof. Those are spacers. Okay. The spacers are on there. They will eventually break off, but they're on there to help keep the parts centered when they're installing it on the roof. And they do a great job at it. We do approximately 20,000 of these a day.
This is where you
work?
Yes, sir.
What all do you do here?
Oh, I clean the parking lot out there, and I clean the bathrooms up, sweep the floor, and mop and do, and have them looking good, man.
Nikita has been with us. I've been here 6 years, and he's been here. He's a good person. He cares about his job. Nikita gives it all he got. When he comes in, he do the best job that he possibly can do, and he's excited about it. And we're glad to have him. He really has been access to the store, and the customers love him.
Basically what we do is we try to keep the rest area clean for when the people come in, everything look nice and clean and neat, smells good. That's basically it. We just try to keep it nice and clean for everybody. We have 3 shifts where someone's here all the time, so we have like 10 guys working 3 different shifts.
I bought me a TV, a VCR, and a CD. Okay. Yeah. And I bought me a bed and different stuff.
What do you want people to understand about you?
They'll be normal. Ain't too much wrong with it. Yeah. It has sickness and heartaches and pain like everybody. We lose loved one too. They're like normal people. Yeah.
You want the same things everybody else wants?
Be treated nice.
Be treated nicely.
Okay. I think seeing people with disabilities, people with needs, that they have a place now to come to be more productive in their own lives. You know, Steve, as well as I do, that people with disabilities are so much like us. They want the same things we do. They want the opportunity to live as independently as they can possibly live. They want the ability to work and to earn a paycheck, even though it may seem small and insignificant compared to what we would want in our daily lives. But the satisfaction of getting a paycheck and doing a job is no different than the head of General Motors. He gets a paycheck, he does a job, he gets a satisfaction from that.
In Arlington.
Okay, in Arlington.
Yeah.
Okay, so it came here from. Is this better?
Yeah, it's better than him.
Okay. Why? Well, what's different about here?
Have more friends, get along with people. They nice to me. I go to the doctor every month. I got me another job working at Bun Hill.
They're awesome. They are just like anybody else. They want to be respected. They want to be loved. They want to have friendship. They have all the emotional wants, needs that everybody else has.
Yeah. So that's not affected by their disabilities?
No, not one bit.
You know, a better life than where we come from, days where it was institutionalized, to where they were confined to a certain institution, to now I feel that because they're in their own individual homes, it's a place where they feel relaxed, what they feel that they enjoy.
I work with individuals every day that don't take things for granted, individuals that no matter what their disabilities are, no matter what their circumstances are in life, they come in and they smile anyway. I have individuals that have lost parents, that have passed away, and that they have called and said the day of the funeral, can I come to work? Do you want me to come to work? And when you deal with people like that on a day-to-day basis, it makes you humble. It makes you appreciate life more. It makes you appreciate all the blessings that you have. I have a 4-year-old son that I am just so ecstatic when he comes up here to visit, because I want him to know them. I want him to understand just because you have a disability does not make you different.
when we had the group home, there were 8 individuals in each one of the home. We had one female home who actually had 10 individuals in it. Up under the new concept now, it's up under supported living, the max that you can have in a home is 3 individuals. When you had 8 or 10 individuals in the home, every time one went, all 8 had to go. And so up under this new concept of supported living, that means now that if they do go somewhere in groups, it'll only be like no more than 3 at a time. And it also is socially acceptable in the community. You know, when they go out 1 or 2 at a time, they blend into the community. Well, it's very important. It does allow dignity for the individuals in that everybody's not staring at large numbers when they go out. It's amazing how normal these individuals are and how much they desire to be accepted in the community, and how much personality they have. I mean, after you work with them for a while, you understand they just like all of us.
The people that works in the PA department are actually I have great staff, and they have to be very kind and patient and willing to go above and beyond the average worker. You know, especially dealing with having to deal with families in the home. You know, because not only do they have to have a relationship with the individuals, they need to develop a strong relationship with the families.
That is giving the SR chance to become more independent, and give them a chance to make money on their own, and just give them a chance to meet new faces and make more friends.
He was 7 years old. He coming home. They coming back home from the school, and the school was a little ball. And this day, he went across, and a drunk person coming along hit him.
It doesn't mean that the people are going to turn out just like any of our children. It doesn't mean they're going to come up and be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, but they reach their potential, and they reach what brings them happiness, and that's what these agencies are all about.
Our people work in the day program here. They pay taxes. They are a part of this community and a viable part of this community. They're not taking from it, they're adding to it. I think probably just by the nature of the business, we're not out waving our flag every day. Maybe we should a little more than we have, but I think Madison Haywood is a hidden treasure for Jackson and Madison County, because we serve people that need to be served that others can't, and we put back into the economy far more than we take, I think.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking